Hi, I'm Erin, and this is Gracie, and this is our Wyoming Life.
In 2016, we raised over 2,000 pounds of tomatoes alone, selling them fresh at farmers market, making salsa, and canning them. Tomatoes are a huge seller at farmers market, and this year we are expanding the garden by adding garlic to our crops. The planting season continues, and soon we will see the fruits and vegetables of our labors.
So today we are going to plant some garlic. Mike built me a raised bed, and we've actually moved it into our garage, and I'm gonna plant it, and then we will move it back outside. So in the bottom of the raised bed, we put some native soil, and then we did some aged cow manure, and then I bought just a couple bags of potting soil mix to put in the top so the garlic has a really light medium for it to grow in. So we're gonna plant garlic. I got some garlic cloves that I ordered from a seed company, and I just broke them up, and now we're just gonna put them in the dirt. So what they say with garlic is that you wanna plant it thumb deep and a hand apart is your spacing. So this is really pretty important for garlic because you want it to give it plenty of room so it makes nice big heads for you. And also you wanna make sure that it has plenty of room to absorb water and the nutrients from the soil. If you put them too close together, it's not going to be able to get enough nutrients, and then you're not going to be able to get the really nice big cloves that you're looking for. All right, so when we plant the garlic, we want to plant pointy end up, and this end where the clove is actually held together, the root end, that's which way is going to go down. That's where our roots are going to come from, and this is where our sprout is going to come from. So I'll take my thumb, make a hole, put the garlic in, and then Grace will cover it up for us. Okay, so we are gonna finish planting our garlic today, and then Mike will move the box outside. It'll actually go next to the garden where I have easy access to water. After we're done with this, we are gonna go down in the basement again, and we are going to plant some tomato seeds to get ready for our summer season. Okay, so we are back down in the basement and we are ready to start some more seedlings. Today we're gonna be germinating tomatoes. We're gonna hope for a transplant into the high tunnel on April 15th of the tomatoes, and we are hoping they're gonna be about 6 inches tall when we transplant. I have planted this time of year for the last couple of years and the timing has worked out, so I'm pretty confident in this. So when we transplant on April 15th, they will go under row covers, and we will still be about 5 weeks before our average last frost date. So if you're in a zone 4, don't start your tomatoes yet. It's too early. You need to wait about 5 or 6 weeks. Here in Wyoming with the wind, I always tell people tomatoes and peppers can be transplanted outside on Memorial Day weekend just to be safe. So I've got all my supplies gathered up. We are going to be using a solid black bottom tray, no holes in this, and then I use these small seed starter trays to actually, this is where I'll put the seeds. These do have holes in them for drainage. Super important to have drainage when you're starting seedlings. I've got some pre-moistened seed starting mix. Again, make sure you use a seed starting mix. It's a sterile environment. It's really lightweight. This is what you want to start all your seeds in. So I've got several trays already filled. So I just fill it about 3/4 of the way. Lightly pack it down. You don't want to press it in there, but I do want the dirt to settle some. Okay, so I have got 5 different kinds of tomatoes that we're going to plant today. 4 different kinds of tomatoes that we're going to plant today, actually. So they are all hybrids. Because I grow in the high tunnel, I don't do heirlooms. I would love to do heirlooms, but because of disease, it's easier to do hybrids in the high tunnel. So the first variety is Mountain Magic. It is actually a smaller tomato, like a large cherry tomato. Tomato seeds, unlike the lettuce seeds, are not pelleted. So they're really small.
Very tiny.
Very tiny. So what we're gonna do It's just kind of, my hand's wet, so this is a little difficult. We're gonna sprinkle them on top here. We're not gonna press them down into the dirt. So just evenly kind of spread them out over the tray. It's not perfect. We're gonna, after they get their true leaves, we are actually gonna transplant them out of these germinating trays. Okay, that's the last one. So now we'll take just a little bit of dirt.
I want really help.
And we will, here's some dirt. Just sprinkle it over the top. Tomato seeds do not need to be planted deep. And then we will put this in our black solid bottom tray. So we can actually put 3 of these seed germinating trays inside one standard black flat. Okay, so I am planning on planting about 205 tomatoes into the high tunnel. So tomatoes will not germinate, it will not get 100% germination. So we are going to plant extra, of course. And then also, sometimes they don't get their true leaves. And when we transplant into bigger pots, I want to have an abundance of plants so that sometimes I break them when I transplant them, or sometimes they just don't harden off well. Occasionally you'll have a few that don't harden off well in the tray. So always plant extra. I also give away plants to fellow gardeners. All of the varieties that I'm planting today are an indeterminate tomato. And that is really important to decide if you want to do an indeterminate tomato or a determinate. There's 2 different kinds. Determinate tomatoes grow really well in containers or on patios, or anywhere that you have limited space. They're not going to get as big. Indeterminates, which is the kind that I grow, will just keep growing and growing and growing as long as the weather is nice and they have water and nutrients. So I do an indeterminate because I do a string and sucker method, and we'll learn about that when we get out into the high tunnel and they start growing. But I allow them to, I wrap them around strings and we allow them to grow all the way up to the top of the high tunnel, which in the center is 12 foot tall. So I want them to grow as long as we can, and if I do a determinate variety, while they'll last the whole season, they will not get as big, but I have plenty of vertical space. So I do indeterminates. Okay, so again, make sure that you label. All tomatoes look the same when they come up. And really they look the same until they start fruiting, so there would be no way to tell which kind of tomato is which. Labels are super important. Tomatoes take longer to germinate than the lettuce did. Lettuce is really fast. Our lettuce only took 4 days. Tomatoes are 14 to 21 days to germinate. And they want to be warmer than the lettuce seedlings do. The lettuce variety that we planted wants to germinate at about 60 degrees soil temperature. The tomatoes, and it'll say on your label, the label says for these tomatoes that they want to germinate at 77 to 86 degrees soil temperature. So if you have seed mats, you definitely want to use them when germinating tomatoes. All right, so now that we got everything all planted, we are going to put it back in one of our little indoor greenhouses. All right, so we want to make sure the top layer stays nice and moist while the seeds are germinating. We will not actually have to water from the bottom through the germination process. I will just spray about every 3 days. They will not take a lot of water, but it's something you want to check every day. If they dry out, the seed will be dead. So I do not have seed mats. We are just going to close up this greenhouse and I'm going to monitor the soil temperature. I'll check it here after a few hours and see how warm it's getting. With this all closed up and the lights on, it actually stays nice and warm in here. If I cannot keep the soil temperature where it needs to be for germination, I will actually just take the biggest blanket I can find and I will throw it over the top of the greenhouse to help warm up the soil. And hopefully in 14 to 21 days, we're gonna have tomatoes. Thank you for watching us plant our garlic and our tomato seeds today, and thank you for following along with us as we get ready for farmers market season in 2017. Grace was my helper today. We will keep you updated on the progress of the tomatoes and show you how we're going to transplant them after germination happens. For more information on all the products that we use today, look in the description and there will be links included. Thank you for joining us in our Wyoming life.
Mommy, let's go to 30.
I know.